Okay, so you've heard the pitch. Money no bank can freeze, no government can control, no single person can shut down. A currency built on purpose so that nobody is ever in charge of it. Simple, right? Buy some coins, hold on, and let a system with zero central authority protect your money better than any bank ever could. But here's the part almost nobody tells you before you buy in. A government has secretly held and reportedly sold off tens of billions of dollars of it in total silence. A court has already ruled in writing that the man who spent a decade claiming credit for inventing it was lying under oath the entire time. And there's a piece of math quietly ticking in the background right now that could make millions of coins worthless overnight, and not even Bitcoin's own developers can force a fix fast enough to stop it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly who's actually been controlling the coins no one is supposed to control, why the man most associated with creating Bitcoin has already been found in a court of law to be a proven liar, and why an entire system built to remove trust from money has ended up demanding more blind trust than anything it was supposed to replace. Let's start with a number that should already bother you. Bitcoin's entire pitch rests on one idea, that no single entity can control the supply or manipulate the system because it's spread across thousands of independent computers with nobody in charge. And yet, between 2018 and 2019, a Ponzi scheme operating out of China called Plus Token managed to pull somewhere between $2 and $6 billion in cryptocurrency out of the pockets of millions of victims, using the oldest trick in the book, paying early investors with new investors' money, just dressed up in blockchain language. Chinese authorities eventually arrested over 100 people connected to the scheme and seized roughly 194,000 of the stolen Bitcoin via this Ponzi scheme. Here's the twist that should change how you think about who actually controls this supposedly uncontrollable currency. In 2025, a crypto analytics firm alleged that China, a government that officially bans cryptocurrency trading for its own citizens, had quietly sold off nearly $20 billion of that seized Bitcoin, with no public announcement, no disclosure, and no way for anyone outside the government to independently verify exactly when or how. Sit with that for a second. The one asset explicitly engineered to resist centralized government control was for years sitting inside the vault of the exact kind of government it was built to defy, and may have been cashed out in complete silence while the rest of the market had no idea why prices were moving. So if a government can secretly hold and quietly sell billions of dollars of the one currency built to make that impossible, what does no one controls Bitcoin actually mean in practice? Because it gets stranger. If governments can't be trusted to hold it honestly, surely the person who actually invented it can be trusted. Except that's where things get even messier. For nearly a decade, an Australian computer scientist named Craig Wright insisted publicly, repeatedly, and under oath that he was Satoshi Nakamoto, the anonymous creator of Bitcoin. He gave interviews, he built a loyal following, he sued critics and developers who dared to question him. In 2024, a UK court finally ruled, and the language in that ruling wasn't subtle. The judge found that Wright had lied extensively and repeatedly and forged documents on a grand scale to support his claim. Not once, but throughout the legal proceedings themselves. Wright then filed a lawsuit against Bitcoin's own developers and Jack Dorsey's company for $1.15 trillion, a number larger than the entire GDP of most countries on Earth. That December, a judge sentenced him to 12 months in prison, suspended for 2 years, and ordered him to pay £145,000 in costs for contempt of court. Here's the detail buried in that same ruling that should actually stop you. The court noted that the real Satoshi Nakamoto is sitting on approximately 1 million Bitcoin. At today's prices, that's a fortune worth tens of billions of dollars, owned by someone nobody has ever definitively identified, who could reappear or quietly cash out at any moment, with zero warning and zero accountability to anyone on Earth. So, if the person most publicly associated with inventing Bitcoin was proven in a courtroom to be lying about the entire premise, who's actually running the exchanges where ordinary people are trusting their money right now? Because the answer, at least once, was almost unbelievable. In 2014, a man calling himself Alex Green ran two of the most popular cryptocurrency exchanges on the internet, MintPal and Moolah, trusted with millions of dollars of other people's coins. Then, the exchanges abruptly shut down, blamed publicly on a technical bug, and roughly 3,700 Bitcoin belonging to customers simply vanished. Dogecoin's own creator started digging, and what he found wasn't a hacker at all. Alex Green wasn't a real name. It belonged to a man named Ryan Kennedy, a documented scammer with a track record stretching back long before crypto ever existed. The fraud only fully unraveled after one of Kennedy's own business partners realized he and Ryan happened to share suspiciously close birthdays, a small detail that cracked the entire alias wide open. Kennedy was eventually arrested and charged with fraud and money laundering, later admitting he had, in his own words, messed up on a catastrophic level.
So an entire exchange holding real customer money was run for years by a man whose actual identity nobody had bothered to verify. Which raises the obvious question: what happens when the person holding the password isn't hiding behind a fake name, but simply disappears? In December 2018, the CEO of Canada's largest cryptocurrency exchange, a man named Gerald Cotton, died suddenly while on his honeymoon in India. Reportedly the only person alive who knew the passwords to the exchange's cold wallets. No autopsy was ever performed. His will had been signed just 12 days before the trip, leaving properties, a plane, and a yacht to his wife. When investigators finally got access to those wallets, most of them were already empty. 169 million Canadian dollars belonging to 76,000 customers simply gone, with nothing left behind but a locked laptop and a widow who said she never knew the passwords. Some of those customers were desperate enough to petition a court to exhume his body just to confirm he was actually the one inside the coffin.
So, if an entire country's largest exchange can lose everything the moment one person dies, what happens when the person supposed to be protecting all of this isn't a scammer or a CEO at all, but an actual sitting government official? In 2025, the Czech Republic's Minister of Justice accepted a donation of 468 Bitcoin, worth around $45 million, directly into his ministry's accounts without ever checking where the money had come from. It later came out that the donor was a convicted operator of a dark web drug marketplace. The minister resigned days later, admitting he had never verified the source of the funds, but insisting he had broken no law. The Bitcoin itself was never returned. A sitting government minister laundering drug money through his own ministry, caught almost by accident. Not because of a whistleblower or a criminal investigation, but because a newspaper simply asked a question nobody in that government had bothered to ask first.
So by now, you'd probably assume the biggest danger to Bitcoin is already behind it. Some scandal from years ago that's been cleaned up and regulated away? It isn't. If anything, the single biggest threat to the entire system hasn't happened yet. And when it does, it won't look anything like a scam. It will look like math. Roughly 6.9 million Bitcoin, including Satoshi Nakamoto's own untouched fortune, sit in wallets whose public keys are already permanently visible on the blockchain for anyone to see. In 2026, Google researchers found that breaking the encryption protecting those specific wallets would require roughly 20 times fewer quantum computing resources than experts believed just a few years earlier. Around the same time, a researcher chasing a cryptography prize actually broke a small-scale key on real quantum hardware. A toy example next to a real attack, but proof that simply didn't exist 12 months before. Analysts have since estimated close to $470 billion in exposed Bitcoin sitting inside the blast radius of a machine that, by most expert timelines, doesn't fully exist yet, but might within a handful of years. And here's the part that should genuinely worry you. Unlike a bank or a company, there's no CEO of Bitcoin who can simply order an emergency upgrade. Getting thousands of independent miners, developers, and holders scattered across the planet to agree on a fix fast enough before the math catches up is a coordination problem that money alone has never been able to solve. And here's the paradox that ties every single one of these stories together into one uncomfortable sentence. Bitcoin was built specifically so that no government, no CEO, and no single point of failure could ever control it or take it away from you. And yet, a government has secretly held and sold off billions of dollars of it behind closed doors. A self-declared inventor was proven in a courtroom to be lying about the entire foundation of the story. Exchange operators have hidden behind fake identities while holding other people's fortunes. A CEO died with the only password to a nation's worth of customer savings.
A cabinet minister laundered drug money through his own government without bothering to ask a single question. And the one force that might finally break the whole system isn't a scammer, a government, or a CEO at all. It's a math problem nobody has solved in time.
Bitcoin promised to remove trust from money entirely. What it actually did was ask you to place your trust in dozens of anonymous strangers you will never meet, all at once, and hope that none of them, and none of the code sitting underneath them, ever fails. If today's video changed the way you think about Bitcoin even a little, then that's exactly the point of this channel. There are a lot more of these stories hiding in plain sight, and we're going to keep pulling them apart one by one. If you want to see the next one before anyone else does, all it takes is hitting subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it's a huge help for us to keep digging up the stories nobody else is telling. I'll see you in the next one.